Right. So now once again, for those who are so concerned about the exam, like I told you, you don't get questions of this nature. You get questions, only manageable questions within the time allocated to you. Now, one thing that you can do is, like I told you just before the break, there is this example, a simpler version, right? Budgeting related example. You can try this example, right? This example, you can do it on your own, right? It's there on this press question. Your template is here. Your answer is template is here. Answer is there. So you can do that question. And when it comes to revision session, we will do a couple of other questions later. And then also there is a review problem on budgeting exercise. Review problem you can, so just note it down, right? Practice questions. This buffed on whatever the question as per given here. You can try that. Just make a note, practice question. And then under the topic, what I indicated has an additional question, review problem on budgeting. Review problem on budgeting is at the end of the chapter on budgeting. So there is a review problem, right? So that is somewhat similar to the question that we have done. You can try that, but again, it's a comprehensive example. Who wants to try something advanced, you can try this. Otherwise, you can try exercises 8.1 to 8.8. After that, you can try the exercises 8.1 to, these are simple exercises, preparing different budgets. 8.1 to 8.8, those budgets questions you can do, all of you, for you to just get a better idea, better practice. Okay? Any comments about that? Right. So, question here, review problem, those who want to do it, others exercises 8.1 to 8.8. Right? That's done. And with regard to your session plan coverage, right? So now those who have the session plan printout, you can refer to. So today we are on the 19th of October, right? And we are supposed to start standard costing. And so we will be starting the standard costing lecture. But on the other hand, lecture 15 and 16, relevant costing for decision making, those two lectures we have covered. So therefore, we are pretty much on target. And the objective is that for us to have a revision class, this is what I planned for. We have scheduled only one revision class, but I'm planning to have 3 revision classes because I usually take 3 revision classes to cover 3 exam papers. So therefore, we have time to do 3 revision classes at the end. So we are going to start the standard costing lecture today, and very likely next week, Ms. Shaminda may take a longer class, a bit longer class on financial modeling, and unlikely that I'm going to take the class. But week after that, I will be taking a longer class. That is the plan. And it will be 2 topics so that you will not be too stressed out if I do the same topic. So that will be too much for you. So, so it will be 2 different topics that we'll be doing. Okay. Right. And then also we had someone to talk to the class. We were discussing whether Aruni could do it. Aruni, are you prepared to do it today?
Yes, sir. I do.
Okay, great. Excellent. So I stopped sharing, but before she does it, can we have another volunteer for the next lecture? Not that it will not be very next Saturday, the Saturday after that. Can we have someone else? We had Rizka, Aruni. Can you hear someone else?
I can take it, sir.
Sorry, I didn't know. Who is it, Manoj?
No, for us.
Faraz, okay, excellent. Okay, Faraz, thank you. Okay, good. So Aruni, I will stop sharing. If you have anything to share, you can do it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You could share the screen. Just try whether you can do it. Yeah.
Is it okay, sir?
Yeah, we
Can
can
you-
see your Zoom screen. Yeah, we can see your desktop. Okay, interesting.
Hi, guys. I thought I talk about my working place. This is National Plant Quarantine Service, Sri Lanka. I think you have already seen this place. When you go to airport Katunayaka, you can see when you come from Colombo, you can see left side this building. It's a nice place. I just take 2-3 minutes to talk about this. The National Plant Quarantine Service, we call NPQS, primarily focuses on protecting the country's agriculture and biodiversity. Its main service include inspection and certification, pest risk analysis, regulation enforcement, like that. Especially we do when you import and export something related to plant or plant parts, it is a certificate. We issue certificate confirming that there are no pests in it. Uh, we will test samples before issuing this certificate. Regularly, sometimes we visit warehouses and check are they under the regulations. Sometimes samples are tested in our labs, but I am not in related to that part. I'm doing administration part in this office. This one by one I show you. We do inspection and certification, assessing plants, plant products, and soil, especially for soil, for pests and diseases before export and import. And then pest risk analysis we do, conducting risk assessments to evaluate potential threats from pests and diseases associated with this threat. Then regulation enforcement, implementing and enforcing phytosanitary certificate. We issue phytosanitary certificate, just called phyto certificate. Before you want to export something related to this plant or plant parts, all countries ask a certificate from our institute. Then you have to take this phytosanitary certificate from our NPQS. And we do public awareness and educations, promoting knowledge about plant health and biosecurity among stakeholders, including farmers and especially exporters. This is our lab area, you can see, and that this is field area. This is our additional director. There are 4 PQ stations. All we have plant quarantine station Katunayaka, and plant quarantine station Seaport, plant quarantine station Mattara Rajapaksa International Airport, and Jaffna, plant quarantine station Jaffna. It is located in Palali. Actually, this is not an easy process. This is to explain what is going on there. If you want, if you want to know further, you can contact me about my personally. There are many mistakes that we do sometimes without knowing. There are many types of fruit seeds that can't grow to Sri Lanka. Actually, one mistake by us can destroy our entire agriculture So I want to say, finally, I say support our agriculture in any way you can. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Aruni. Others, you have any questions, anything to ask from her? That's a very valuable area and very, in terms of protecting the Sri Lankan, I think, agriculture, forest, everything, it is very, very useful. Anyone who would want to?
Yeah, thanks, Aruni. It was really interesting
Right.
to know that there is a place like that. I was not aware. And just
thank
one question I have. Why is it particularly all based in the ports and airports? Is there any reason for that?
Yeah, because when you export or import something, you have to go there. Sometimes they are regularly doing things. When you come to our place to take phytosanitary certificates only. If it is okay, there are many officers and they will give phytosanitary certificates from that ports, airport, seaport. You can get everywhere. Everywhere you
Right, I
can
got
get
it.
it.
Thank you.
If you want
Okay.
further details, Riz, you can contact me.
Okay.
Personally, I will always helpful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so just to ask you, right now, I'm asking this because we have a coconut business, like we have coconut estates and we are
Oh,
thinking of exporting, right? So
okay.
then we have to go through you anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to do.
Oh,
You can you please contact me personally? I will help you.
yes, I will do that.
Okay.
You can
Okay,
probably
thank
put,
you so much.
can I get her details personally? You can put a message to her on the group here and you can get the contact details. Then she'll probably share it with you.
Yes, I will do that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks. So good. And it's a very interesting area, but sometimes say we may not see the import part of it, but one country have seen that they are extremely strict is New Zealand. So when you go to New Zealand, they check your shoes, they ask whether you have been into outdoor activities in other countries. I don't know if you all remember, there was this Indian cricketers who were there who went to New Zealand recently. And then they have been asked to show their shoes and remove whatever the soil that has been there. They have been fined, and there was a big issue. But they are very, very strict. Even if it is, I think there's one big politician also, I can't remember. So straight away, you can't even take soil. Even shoes, the outdoor activities, they take a lot of outdoor activity instruments. They check everything and you're going to be fined and you're not allowed to take them inside. Right. So shall we start the discussion? So like I told you, any other questions from Aruni? Good. So now we are going to...
Thank you.
Okay, thanks Aruni once again. So for us, we'll be doing the session next week. Thanks. Right. So now we are going to move on to the next topic, which is standard costing and variance analysis. And once again, for your information, in our curriculum now, we have only 3 more topics to be done. One is standard costing, which is also a relatively shorter topic. And you may or may not get a question on standard costing at the exam, but budgeting, usually you will get a question at the exam, right? And then thereafter, we will be having another topic on, again, 2 related topics. Performance evaluation is another short topic, and transfer pricing is the last topic. So both those topics are again short topics. So performance evaluation also you're going to get a question on in the final exam for the final examination. Transfer pricing also you're going to get a question for the final examination. So those are the 3 areas that is pending. Now, what we are going to look at now under standard costing is basically now in budgeting, we have examined how you prepare our annual budget. Say what we want to achieve in terms of our sales, costs, and various other parameters, how we are going to prepare the budget. The quantities are there in terms of revenues and the cost specifically. And once we prepare the budget, and in order to ensure that we achieve what we wanted to achieve, what we are going to do is we need to regularly compare what we have achieved actually versus what we wanted to achieve. Our budget and the actual performance we are going to compare, right? So at organizational level, we'll be looking at in the monthly and the quarterly review, what is our budget, what is our actual, what sort of difference or a deviation is there, and then we attempt to take the necessary corrective action. That is what you do at organizational level. And so that is what we do at organizational level. But then thereafter, that to ensure that we may go into the department level. It may be profit center level or the business unit level or the channel level or the customer segment level, whatever the way, or the branch level, whatever the way that you're structured, we may be looking at the budgets and the actuals, right? You remember we discussed about the cost centers, profit centers, and revenue centers. So depending on how we have structured our organization and monitor it, in the case of profit centers, we'll be looking at our cost centers. We'll be only looking at the budgeted versus actual costs and see whether there are variances, and we try to take corrective action. And along with that, we may be looking at the specific KPIs, financial and non-financial KPIs for that cost center. If it is a revenue center, in addition to being a cost center, like a sales department, they will be generating a revenue. So then their performance evaluation will be looking at the budgeted and the actual revenues generated versus the department cost structure, and also other KPIs that you have, financial and the non-financial KPIs. And profit center, we're looking at the total revenue and the cost and the profit and all the profitability related parameters relating to that profit center. And then all the KPIs relating to the operation. In investment center, we bring the investments as well. So whatever that we do it, one important thing is we are comparing the budgeted versus actual expenditure. When we compare the budgeted versus actual expenditure, what you usually do is in any organization, you have a statement where you have, this is what you have budgeted, this is the actual amount, and this is the difference. And then when you go to the review and the department head or the person in charge will give explanation. Yes, my communication bill is higher because of this reason. We had more data, or we had some foreign travel, so there's overseas cost charges or whatever that is going to come. Or else our utility bill is high, and industrial engineer will say, yes, the utility bill is high because there has been a rate hike, right? Or else that we had to work overtime because there's a problem with the raw material, so we had to work long hours. So then the air conditioners and the lighting and the machinery were on for a long time. So you will give an explanation, right? So like that, you give explanation. But this is good, this is useful, that is what we all do. But in standard costing and variance analysis, we go one step further. This actually may not be applicable to the same way for all of you who work in different types of organization, but the logic that we develop is applicable to any type of organization. So what we do in standard costing and variance analysis is, let us say, especially for manufacturing organization and manufacturing related costs, rather than just looking at saying, okay, this is our raw material cost budget, these are actual raw material costs, these are labor budget, these are actual labor costs, like that, and looking at the variances, we are not going to stop there. We are going to connect everything together, right? And then finally, we are going to attribute, okay, this is the budgeted profit and this is the actual profit, right? And then what are the possible factors that could lead to a difference between the budgeted and the actual profit? Each and every factor in a very structured manner, we are going to break down these factors based on a particular set of structured format framework that you are going to use. So that is what we do in standard costing. When you want to compare the budgeted versus actual performance for manufacturing organization, right? We are trying to do it in a very structured manner so that we can exactly pinpoint what factors have contributed to any deviations from the budgeted versus actual profit in a manufacturing organization. That is what we do. Right now, for example, can you quickly tell me in a very broad terms, what can lead to a difference between the budgeted and the actual profit in a manufacturing organization? What are the contributory factors that can lead to the difference between the budget and the actual profit?
The increase in the price of raw materials.
Yeah, you pay a higher price for the raw material. Good. What else?
Quality of the material.
So quality of the raw material. So then what can happen? Good. Due to the quality of the raw material, what can happen?
The wastage can be or the
Okay, wastage can be high, so therefore usage may be more. Okay, good. So therefore, when it comes to the raw material, like you said, it may be because we pay a higher or lower price. So the rate can be different, or else our, due to various reasons, due to the quality of material and various other factors, our raw material wastage can be higher or lower, or yield can be higher or lower. So raw material consumption can be different. Park the raw material side. What are the other factors that can lead to the difference between the budget and the actual profit in manufacturing organization? What else?
Changes in the tax rates mid-year.
Okay, the tax rates. Okay, good. So it can happen in any organization. Yes, the tax rates. What else? Pay special attention to special attention to manufacturing organization.
labor efficiency.
Labor efficiency. The efficiency of the labor could vary due to various reasons, like it can be due with their training or the type of guidance, the complexity of the product and absenteeism level. All those things can have an impact. So the labor efficiency can be different. If you make more efficiently, say then lots of cost in the organization will be less. But if our efficiency level is not reached as expected, so then our not only the labor related costs, other costs also can be high. So it can be due to the labor efficiency. What else? What else?
Market condition,
So market conditions will have an impact on what?
buying power
Okay, so
of
then
consumers,
consumers, so
and
then what will happen as a result of
then
that?
it happens to the sales.
Okay, there can be an impact. It can be due to either there can be an impact on the sales. So your sales volume, depending on whether it is a positive factors contributing to the market conditions, where the sales volume can be high, or else negative factors contributing to the demand, your sales volume can be lower. So either the volumes can be higher or lower, or else what would be our reaction if the volumes are not coming? Volumes are not coming through, what will we do as an organization? What we will try to do?
Reduce the price.
Change the prices, exactly, reduce the prices. So we change the prices. So therefore, our revenue levels could vary either because of the demand conditions which are better or worse than we anticipated, or else it can be due to the pricing where we are selling at a higher or lower price. So it can be a factor due to the raw material, it can be a factor due to the labor, right? And it can be due to the factors relating to the turnover, volumes and the prices, what else? And also it can be due to the factors relating to various other overheads. Many reasons, like say sometimes the costs could be up, or else our efficiencies may be low. As a result of that, we are forced to work long hours, so then our costs can be high. So like that, there can be many contributory factors. So now what we try to do in this exercise, we are going to put them into a number of broad categories and sectors. And now we are going to tell you, after we go through this, the whole exercise of learning exercise, we are going to do a very structured comparison. One moment. Like this. Say finally, we are going to come up with something like this. This particular organization. Can you see my screen?
No, sir.
You can't see my screen.
No, sir.
Profit reconciliation.
No, nothing is being shared.
Still no, sir.
One moment. Can you see it now?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. No, okay.
Okay, now this is what we try to do. Now, if you have been told in a given situation, these are budgeted profit and these are actual profit. So we are trying to find the reason that is due to the sales prices or the sales volumes or the material prices or the material usage efficiencies or the labor rates or labor efficiency or anything to do with the production knowledge. Like that, we are going to go into a very detailed discussion. That is what we are trying to do. This is the outcome that we expect for a manufacturing organization, which is very, very useful, especially in organizations where there are sometimes 5, 10, 15, hundreds of different products using hundreds of different types of raw material and going through the complicated manufacturing process. This is going to be very useful way of managing that, which we are going to discuss later. But before that, are you clear about what you are trying to do here in this lecture? In this topic, what you're going to learn about? Okay, right. So now we are going into a discussion. So you need to interact with me a bit and you need to tell me what is a budgetary control system? Yes. Can you tell me what is a budgetary control system in an organization? What do we try to do in a budget? We learned about budgets, but in a broad sense, what do we do in a budgetary control system? What do we try to achieve?
Meet the target.
Hit a target. Okay, yeah, that is true. A bit broadly, if we explain it, yes, we prepare a budget and we monitor and see where we deviate and we try to control and ensure we achieve what we wanted to achieve. So that is budgetary control. This is a planning and control cycle. That is what happens in a typical budgetary control system, right? So that is what it is all about. See, under budgetary control system, actual costs and revenues are periodically compared with the budgets in each responsibility center. So the budgets and the actuals are compared in each responsibility center. When you say responsibility center, it may be the entire organization, which can be a profit center or an investment center, or else it can be a department like a cost center like IT department or a finance department or logistics department, or else it can be a revenue generating place where your sales department or your branches or the showroom outlets or the retail outlets or channels, right? Or else it can be a profit center like each customer segment or the business segment. Whatever the responsibility centers, periodically we are going to compare our budgets and what we have achieved actually to see whether there are deviations and then take the necessary corrective action. This is what a budgetary control system is all about. Okay, any questions? Right. Now, then I told you about standard costing system. I already explained to you. So this is how I would show you somewhat theoretical manner. This is what a standard costing system is. Standard costing and variance analysis system enables these variances to be analyzed in greater detail. So when you budgetary planning and control, we need to compare the budgets and the actual, identify the variances to take the corrective action. So in a standard costing system and variance analysis, we help us to identify the variances and analyze them in detail using a well-structured framework. I showed you a well-structured framework, a fully comprehensive, all-inclusive, a well-structured framework in order to exercise better organizational control. The objective is, rather than just saying that our raw material cost is high, we can say this is due to the raw material, this much is due to raw material pricing, and this much is due to raw material usage. And then this much is due to our yields are difference, and this is due to some other factors. So like that, we are going to go into the detail. Like, so that is what we mean by a standard costing system. Okay, now you need to think and give me an answer. What is a budget and what is a standard, and what is the difference between a budget and a standard? Yes. In your opinion, what is a budget and what is a standard, and what is the difference between a budget and a standard? Yes. Any idea? Any idea what a budget is and what a standard is? Yes. Budget is a total statement which is prepared for a department or a responsibility center or for the organization in overall. Right? But the building blocks of the budget are the standard costs. Say when you want to prepare your raw material budget, that is the budget. So it will be based on your raw material prices, raw material utilization, and the mix of raw material that you will be doing to produce those products. So therefore, the raw material standard price, standard utilization, and the standard mix, right? All of that will decide what is going to be the raw material budget. So standards are set at per unit level, and that will be the building blocks to build the budget. Similarly, in terms of people, we may have a labor budget. This is going to be the labor cost for the coming period. But the labor budget will depend on labor standard. How much of time is required to make one unit, and then at what efficiency level you need to generate that, and what is the price that you should pay to generate that much of sale. Now, all of these things will be leading to the labor related budget. So therefore, labor efficiency standards, labor rate standards, how much we pay the workers, all of that will be part of that standard labor cost. Similarly, sales also the same scenario. Our sales budget will tell us sales volume and the sales revenue generated, but the sales standard will tell us what is the sales price and what is the standard sales mix. All those things will help us to prepare the overall sales budget. So the budgets are prepared using the standards, which are the building blocks. Say the predetermined, of course, a standard, just like a budget, is decided in advance. So it is a predetermined cost which should be incurred under efficient operating conditions. We'll say that these are the normal under efficient, reasonably efficient operating conditions, and expressed per unit basis. Just give So the predetermined cost which should be incurred under efficient operating conditions and expressed per unit basis. So these are building blocks, right? Per unit basis only standards are expressed. And budgeted cost expressing total cost relating to an entire activity or an operation. The budget will be for the entire operation, production department, or cost of running this particular machine, cost of running this module. So that's for the entire operation, not per unit level. These are developed using the standard cost as a primary building blocks, right? So that is what it is all about, right? And having said that, the way, like we have been discussing, we are preparing standards for all these different areas. We are preparing, now we already discussed. What are we preparing the budgets for? What did you say? What sort of different standards do we use? What did you say? With regard to the raw material, what did you say the different standards are for what? Standard of raw material. What did you say? Per unit level. Standard of raw material price. The standard raw material usage. Standard raw material mix. Standard labor rate for each worker category, skilled, unskilled, whatever. And standard labor efficiency. Standard labor mix we may have. Standard variable cost per unit. Standard sales price. The standard sales mix overall. So all these things are used when we prepare the standards. Say material price standards, labor rate, skill level. Service quality standard, service selling price standard. Material usage or the mix standard, labor time, service cost related standards, and sales mix related standard. So like that, there are so many different types of standards that we may have in organizations. But before go to the further discussion, can you tell me, any one of you, do you have standard costing systems in the organization that you work for? Or have you had standard costing systems in the organization that you work for? What do you think? Your organization, do you have standard costing systems? Or have you had standard costing systems? Any of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Would you like to tell them, take a minute or two, would you like to explain them how you do it or what you think could be useful to them? Yes, there's a practical example.
Yes, so the company I'm engaging is into agriculture.
Okay.
So when we are preparing the budget, what we do is we prepare standard applications based on the per hectare basis. Even if you select a particular crop, we will prepare a standard application on seeds, fertilizer, herbicide, insecticides, and any irrigational items. So then we take the how many hectares that we will be planting for a year,
Right.
and the yield, the estimated yield, and the total production. So that is the way we do the budget. Plus, on monthly basis, we will record the actual usage, and we will analyze on monthly basis. So at the end of the cropping season, to see what was the budgeted the budget values versus the actual values and the variance. The variance mainly will come due to the prices or the usage or the variance on the production volumes.
Okay. Good, good. Thank you. And also, in your case, when you do that, do you allocate your land and other resources according to say, do you have designated area for different crops and different types of plants? Or is it do you keep changing it dynamically from season to season or from year to year, from period to period?
It is season to season, depending on the crops. Or we are winter crops, maybe it will be about 6 months of the year. Some of the summer crops, it will be for about 3 to 4 months for a year. So
Ah.
that is based on the application is based on the activity base. But when it comes to the labor and overhead, we just take the area being utilized by each crop.
Right. So
We-
season
yeah.
to season means say from one season to the other season, it could vary. But this year versus next year, within a particular season, same season, do you have the same crop mix? So that also do you keep changing?
It will be changing, sir.
It will be changing. Right,
Yes.
right. Okay, good, good, good. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that experience. At least others will get a feeling of how and what type of organization they use it and how it is going to add value. Good. And then also now another couple of minutes more before you within the day. Now, methods of developing standards. Right? Now, let us say you want to develop a standard, a particular type of standard. How do you think people, or your experience wise, how do you prepare these standards? Let us say manufacturing organization, you want to do a standard cost statement, because before you do a costing, even before you offer a particular product, it can apply to manufacturing organization, it can apply to service organization as well. Whether it is a manufacturing organization or service organization, when you want to prepare, when you want to sell, manufacture and sell or offer a particular service, we need to set certain standards, right? Now, it can be like, say, for example, it can be a bank, which will have a couple of counters and which will have certain types of servicing, or ATM even, like say how many customers will come and what rate will they be coming, what combination of types of services they will be utilizing, and how long it will take for a person to execute the transaction over a teller machine, someone who's thorough with the teller machine. There are people who are very slow on the teller machine, and how long it takes the person to offer the service. Like some people even say changing encashing a check, like, so depending on the teller who is at the counter, so the time will vary. Some people are very efficient, can look at things fast, some other people are slow. So now all those things, even if it's a service organization, it should go to the same level. That in a manufacturing organization, let us say you want to do a standard cost of raw material, right? So which will depend on how much is the raw material consumption. How do you think that is estimated? What is the raw material consumption? How do you think it is estimated? Yes. How do you think the raw material consumption is estimated?
Requirement of the produce of product.
Okay. And then per unit consumption? it could vary from type organization. Say, for example, we take a same example like a garment factory, like we said. So then you get a particular type of order, and then you want to have some sort of a standard quantity. So based on that only, you will make an assumption of what is the fabric consumption, and that is what you go into your costing, where you are going to tell the customer, this is what is going to cost me in terms of fabric or any other accessories. Right? So when you want to do that, how they do it? So then probably there will be a drawing that will be set by the buyer and certain specifications. So somebody will have to convert that drawing into blocks and sample, and you have to stitch the sample, and in that process you will be making an estimate of how much of raw material or a fabric is utilized to make a single garment based on the size ratios or whatever. So that's a simpler process, relatively simpler process. But it is your engineers design some new product. Say a furniture manufacturer is going to develop, design, and offer a multi-purpose table. Right, for example. So then, so the design, the concept will say it has to be multi-purpose table, which can be used as a study table, it can be used as a dining table, and it can also be used in an emergency to put a chair or someone to climb onto that and attend to some activities like that, someone will say. So then, in a situation like that, when it is a new design, something that you have not done, so then somebody will have to look at what is the objective, what is the purpose of offering that. To meet this requirement, what should be the strength of that? How much of a load they should be able to bear? And what should be how it should be balanced, where someone who won't get from top of that, whether it will topple or not. And then based on that, what should be the thicknesses of the material, and what should be the type of raw material, what should be the quality of the raw material, the lengths and breadths and the thicknesses and all of that, and how it is going to be finished, and some sort of an engineering study someone will undertake. And based on that only, you can come up with, okay, this is the quantity of raw material that is required per unit, right? So it is easier even in a situation like that, when a new product, as against when it comes to a situation where you use natural raw material to do something, like a tea factory, like we told you. The yield could vary depending on the season, which plantation it comes from, and the moisture content and all of that, and it will vary, your utilization or your yield will vary based on all those parameters. Or else if it is something like naturally mined material, that you're going to use some sort of a mined sand or something like that, or something that you use to make the lime or something that you're going to use, where you're going to source from different sources. They are the natural quantity, the quality also will vary. So then you have to do much more intense studies and when you decide the standard. But that is why it is more important, because unless you don't have a standard from batch to batch, from order to order, your pricing and everything will change, and you won't be able to do anything strategically quantified manner. So therefore, even in those organizations, it is very, very important. Here we spoke of raw material quantity standard. And then let us say raw material price standard, how do you prepare? How do you arrive at a price to say that, okay, this is the price that we should be paying for this type of raw material? How do we estimate that? Yes. How do we prepare? How do you think we should prepare the raw material price standard? Based on what?
Based on the average price of required material, evaluate
Okay,
suppliers,
right. Okay, based on the average price, based on what?
the market suppliers,
Okay, market supplies, you may look at the past prices, the trends of the market prices, past prices, and then who are the suppliers, what are the prices they offer right now, and then are there any other new users, different users of material? Will there be a greater demand or lesser demand for those raw material, those materials? Right, and what is the structure, how the price is built up using your initial cost, your an important one, your FOB price, the freights, if sometimes the freights can be very high, or sometimes the taxes and the duties can be so high, and sometimes the exchange rate can be different. Now, all those things can come into the picture. So then we'll be considering all that. You may look at your raw material price standard. And what were the labor standards? How do you think we should prepare labor efficiency? How much of labor is required to make a unit? How do you think we should prepare those standards? Yes.
Based on the figures, facts and figures and experience.
Okay. Based on the experience, past data, sometimes you may do it. Most of the time you may do it. And also that also can be different. Like say, for example, I like say something like a apparel industry, that there's a certain level of time that is required, but then depending on the size of the order, efficiency could vary. If it is a big order, you can keep stitching it for a long time, and over a period of time, due to the learning curve, the time required may come down. But if it is a small order, there is not enough time for you to build up on the efficiency to reduce your time requirement, so the cost labor hours can be high. So that is something. And also, if it is something that you've done before, so then you can, your past experience and all these statistics and all this published data that is available. But if it is something new product that you're going to do or new service that you're going to offer, how can you estimate that? You don't have past data. So then what do you do? If you don't have past data, this is my experience, this is how long it is going to take to make that product. Then how do you do it?
Estimates
How do you estimate?
based on the experience.
So you have no experience, for example, you haven't done anything like that, something even closer, very unique product.
Other same price, same product in the market.
Similar product you can look at. There's one thing. The other one is probably you can do trial runs. Say you set up machinery or get the people and you simulate a real life situation and you get them to do some units. And then you observe how they do it and how much time they take. And then probably you may change it and you may change the way people are seated and whether they are standing or seated, what is the height they sit in, what sort of height, and where you are going to get the material and how it is going to be passed on. It's going to come on a conveyor belt or someone come and hand over or like that. And then what are the different movements, hand movements that you can use. So like that, you can, considering all of that, you can set up a real life situation and then time it and see how long it is going to take. Say a new service offered by a bank, right? So then how we are going to do it? Or else say a company which is digitizing, for example, is going to get a big contract on digitizing of your documentation in insurance company, right? So then before giving a price, you need to look at the complexity of the document and the type of document that you need to scan or digitize, like the number of policies. So then you don't have previous experience. So then somebody will have to look at that and get someone to go through that experience and see the time taken by an experienced person, inexperienced person, and all of that. And then you may come up with the standard, whatever the timing. Labor, again, based on the rates and the negotiations and the past experience will be the rates. So like that, there are different ways that you can come up with the labor, there are different ways that you can come up with the standards. So like we said, designing and engineering studies, there may be trial runs, and then you have work study techniques where you study actually their motions and the times, past data, past usage, past prices, the past trends, all of them can be used to prepare these standards. Okay. Any questions or anything to add? Any comments? Right. So this is, I think, is for time for us to stop. Next time we are looking at the type of standards, simple discussion. And then most importantly, you need to, we are going to discuss this question again. It does not look very simple, but is in fact simple and very interesting as well. This is the example that you're going to discuss. These on your book as well. These on your standard textbook, and also this here on this worksheet, which has been shared to you today. So let's try to do this the next time we meet it. We finish this section question, and then we wind up our discussion with standard costing and then move on to the next area of discussion. Are we okay? Any questions? Okay, good. So with that, then we will wind up the session for today. So please keep in mind, next week can be a longer lecture by Mr. Chaminda, right? If not, we will take the usual timing, and the week after next, I will be taking a longer lecture for sure, because Chaminda is not available. Are we okay? Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So we'll wind up with that then. Thank you.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of the weekend. Okay.
Thank you, sir.